Hello, my dear. If you're watching this video, maybe you've asked yourself, has that part of my life, the touch, the feelings, the desire, faded away with my youth? You're not alone. I've heard this question from so many women over 60. Women who have been mothers, wives, caregivers, the steady heart of their families. And then, somewhere along the way, they start to feel like they've become just a function, as if the parts of them that once pulsed with emotion have quietly closed down. One of my patients, Margaret, she's 68, once sat across from me and said, "I think that part of me is dead, doctor." After menopause, after the kids moved out, after all those long, cold, empty nights, I feel like an empty shell. I thought the desire to be touched, to feel alive in my body, belonged in the past. But when I looked into her eyes, I didn't see something dead. I saw a small flame, still burning, just waiting for someone to name it, waiting for permission to live again. Have you ever felt that way? I think many of us, especially women, were raised in a culture that told us to be quiet, to age gracefully, to wrap up desire and tuck it away like an old dress that no longer fits. And so we pass through these years carrying a quiet, painful belief. My time has passed. But here's what I've learned. From science, yes, but also from decades of listening to real women. That spark doesn't disappear. It simply changes form. It becomes quieter, more tender. It needs a different kind of attention. And most of all, it needs your full presence. What I see often is this. Many women still touch themselves, but quickly, secretly, like it's a chore. Like something to just get over with, rather than an act of care or connection. I remember one woman, she was 70, told me through tears, "Sometimes I do it just to fall asleep, but afterward, I feel nothing, like I just checked something off a list. I don't really feel myself." And that breaks my heart. But you know what? That's not her fault. And it's not your fault either. It's because no one ever taught us how to truly be with ourselves. The female body, especially after 50, is not like a man's. It doesn't respond to speed or pressure or performance. It responds to subtlety. It needs time. It needs kindness. It needs you to stay, to be truly present in your breath, your hands, your stillness. And here's the beautiful thing. When you touch yourself slowly, gently, with no goal, your body begins to release a powerful hormone called oxytocin, the same one that floods a mother's body when she holds her baby. Oxytocin is what makes you feel safe, soothed, connected. It lowers stress, helps you sleep. And for postmenopausal women, it can even help naturally moisturize the vaginal area, something many of us silently struggle with. So I want you to imagine this. It's evening. You turn off all the lights, not out of shame, but as a way to enter a sacred space. You light a small candle. You breathe deeply. You place your hand gently over your chest, and you whisper, "I'm still here. I'm still me. And I still have the right to feel." You don't need to rush. You don't need to achieve anything. You only need to listen. My dear, if anything in this video made your heart flutter, even just a little, let that be your guide. Let that gentle stirring lead you back to yourself. Not for anyone else, not to prove anything, but because you are worthy of coming home to. In the next parts of this series, I'll be sharing small, quiet secrets that can change how you touch yourself, how you breathe, and how you feel alive. not just in your body, but in your whole being. But for now, I just want you to remember this one truth. It is never too late to feel alive again. The feelings within you, they're still there, just waiting for you to return. Secret number 1. Your space affects your pleasure more than you think. I want to invite you to remember something. When was the last time you felt truly relaxed, truly at ease? In your body, in your breath? Maybe it was on a quiet autumn morning. Soft sunlight slipping through the window, the air just cool enough. You wrapped in a warm blanket, and for once, no one needing anything from you, just you and the safety of being. That feeling, unhurried, unbothered, quietly full, that right there is the beginning of true sensuality. Most people think desire begins inside, from hormones, from fantasy, from physical stimulation. But here's something I've learned over the years. Your body can only truly open when the space around it says, you are safe. You are allowed to feel. One of my patients, Eleanor, 76, lives alone in a small apartment in New Jersey. For years, she told me, anytime she tried to touch herself, she always did it in the bathroom. Harsh white lights, cold tiles, bare white walls, and afterward, she'd just let out a sigh. Not of shame, but of emptiness. It felt like brushing my teeth, she said, something I did out of habit. Nothing really touched me. I didn't say much. I just asked her gently, what if you prepared your bed with soft sheets, turned on a warm bedside lamp, lit a vanilla-scented candle, and didn't try to do anything? Just lay there with yourself? She laughed. I'm too old for romance, doctor. But a week later, she called me. Her voice was shaking. I tried. I didn't do anything. Just placed my hand on my belly and lay still, and then I cried, because for the first time in years, I felt worthy of being loved. You see, sometimes what we need isn't technique. It's not about doing things the right way or pushing harder. Sometimes all we need is a space that's soft enough, warm enough, private enough, for our body to believe it's safe to open again. And science agrees. Soft lighting helps your body produce melatonin, which calms your mind. Gentle scents like lavender or vanilla help reduce stress and ease tension. A warm room, just between 75 to 78 degrees, relaxes the pelvic muscles, which is especially important for postmenopausal women. But here's the beautiful part. You don't need anyone else to create this space. You don't need luxury. You don't need perfection. You just need permission from yourself to be cared for, not for anyone else, not to perform, but because you deserve it. So if, as you're listening, a small corner of your home just came to mind, a place where you might lay a soft towel, add a dim lamp, place a fragrance you love, I want you to know that's not just a corner of your house. That's the doorway back to you. Are you ready to create that space just for you? Secret number 2. Touch yourself in a new way. As if for the very first time. I want you to imagine this. A woman drives the same road every day for 40 years. To work, to the store, back home again. She knows every curve, every bump in the pavement. But one day, she turns down a little side street she's never noticed before. And there, she finds a field of wildflowers, a line of trees gently bending toward the sunlight, A new kind of beauty she didn't think still existed in her life. Your body is just like that. If you keep touching yourself the same way, quickly, out of habit, never changing, then of course, the feeling starts to fade, like a song you've played too many times. But if you touch yourself as if you've never met this body before, everything can change. I had a patient named Judith, 68, a widow living in Arizona. She told me, I still touch myself every week. Not out of desire, but because I'm afraid that if I stop completely, my body will freeze. I just do it quickly, like brushing my teeth. No emotion, no sensation, just habit. And I understood. So I said to her, next time, don't do it the old way. Imagine it's the first time you're touching someone you truly care about, not to get anywhere, just to listen. Use a different hand, touch different places, change the rhythm, and most importantly, don't rush. Judith tried it. She used the palm of her hand instead of her fingertips. She touched her lower belly, her upper chest, the insides of her thighs, places she used to ignore because she thought they didn't matter. And then, a strange warmth traveled up her spine. Not the fireworks of her 20s, but a gentle awakening, like finding a room in your house you forgot was even there. Science calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections. When you change how you touch, where you touch, or even which hand you use, your brain creates new sensory pathways. It reactivates areas of your body that have been emotionally starved for years. And guess what? Areas like the lower belly, hips, upper chest, inner thighs, they're filled with sensory nerves connected to deep pleasure. But we often skip over them because they don't deliver quick results. But after 60, pleasure is no longer about fast. It's about depth, spread, tenderness. Imagine this. You don't start where you always do. You don't race to the finish. You simply place your hand on your body, as if you're listening to a forgotten melody returning after a long silence. You touch like someone exploring a new land, not with urgency, not with expectation, just with curiosity. And in that very curiosity, your body will respond. If you've ever thought, I can't feel much anymore, maybe it's not that you've lost the ability. Maybe you're just repeating an old way of touching that no longer serves you. Try something new. Touch yourself with the gaze of love. Not love from someone else, but love from you. Because sometimes what we need most isn't more. It's different. Secret number 3. Reawakening the flow. Gently bringing life back to the pelvic area. I want to talk to you now about something many women experience, but rarely talk about. That quiet sense of numbness in the lower body. Not pain, not discomfort exactly, but a kind of emptiness, like something that used to be alive, has gone quiet. Many women over 60 have told me, it feels like my body has gone cold down there. But here's the truth. It's not that you've lost the ability to feel. It's that your body is waiting for warmth, for circulation, for life to return. You see, as we age, blood flow to certain areas, especially the pelvic area, can slow down. We move less. We sit more. Hormones change. And the parts of us that once pulsed with energy start to go quiet. But just like a garden that hasn't been watered, those places don't need to be replaced. They just need to be gently nourished again. I had a patient named Lorraine, age 74. She once said to me, I thought I was simply too old to feel anything again. But after I started massaging my belly and breathing slowly, I felt this soft, warm wave move through me, like something had been asleep for years and finally stirred. So how do we bring warmth back? Not with force, not with pressure, but with small, sacred steps. Here's what I often recommend, and what I practice myself. First, start with warm water. About an hour before you plan to spend time with yourself, drink a glass of warm water with a tiny pinch of natural sea salt. It helps rehydrate and stimulate gentle circulation, especially in the lower body. Next, let food support your flow. A piece of dark chocolate, a few slices of watermelon, a handful of walnuts. These aren't just snacks. They help open blood vessels, relax tissues, and reawaken sensation. Then, use your hands with love. Spend just 5 minutes massaging your lower belly, hips, or inner thighs in slow circular motions, not to get somewhere, but to tell your body, I'm here. I care for you. You matter. And finally, breathe like you're inviting life in. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6 seconds. Repeat. This simple breath pattern activates your nervous system's rest and receive mode, telling your body, it's safe now. You can soften. You can feel. None of this requires a special tool. No expensive therapy? No one else? Just you, creating the right conditions for your own aliveness to return. If you've ever tried to reconnect with your body and felt nothing, don't give up. Maybe it wasn't lack of desire. Maybe it was simply a lack of flow. And when blood returns, so does emotion. So does warmth. So does that quiet voice within you that whispers, I'm still here. I've been waiting for you. Secret number 4. New pleasure zones are waiting for you. You know. There's something very few women are ever taught. That pleasure doesn't live in just one place. It moves. It changes. It matures. Just like you do. I've worked with hundreds of postmenopausal women, and many of them, in a whisper, have told me, I don't feel anything anymore, in the place I used to feel everything. And I always smile, look them in the eye and say, that's not the end. That's a new map being drawn. A woman named Margaret, 70 years old, widowed, once told me her body felt like an old house, once familiar, now cold. She said, it's like a place I used to live, but I don't recognize it anymore. Then one day she came across an article about how new pleasure zones can emerge after menopause, so she tried something she'd never done before. She began with a deep breath, then gently placed her hand on her lower belly, a place she'd only ever touched when it hurt, or when applying lotion. Next, she let her fingers glide up to her neck, the nape where her husband used to whisper to her every morning. And she said to me, I don't know what happened, but I felt like I stepped into a room I had lived in for years and never really looked around. Science supports this completely. After menopause, estrogen declines, and yes, that can reduce sensitivity in the vaginal area. But the areas around it, the neck, the back of the head, the lower back, the inner thighs, the belly, the upper chest. These areas become more sensitive because they're rich in emotional nerve endings, and when gently stimulated, blood flows more freely. So no, your body is not shutting down. It's just inviting you to take a new path, a softer path, a wider path, and maybe a more beautiful one. Imagine this. You're bathing in soft evening light. You place your hand on your neck, not for any reason, just to feel your own warmth. You glide it along your lower back, the same back that has carried so much weight in your life, and whisper, "I see you. I will no longer forget you." And in that moment you realize one touch, if given with presence, can awaken an ocean of feelings that have been quietly waiting inside you. You don't have to go back to being 20. You are stepping into a time of life where pleasure is no longer a destination, but a journey. It's not about one place anymore. It spreads like soft waves over different parts of your body. Touch the areas you once thought were nothing special. Your neck, behind your ears, your back, your belly, the inside of your arms, the soft skin of your inner thighs. You might be surprised, not because they are erotic, but because they remind you that you are still connected to yourself. So if you've ever felt like you can't feel anymore, I invite you to try something simple. Don't change your body. Change how you move through it. Secret number 5, the timing of touch matters more than you think. Have you ever done something the same way you always have, and yet it just didn't move you anymore? Have you ever asked yourself, why does it feel so different now, even though I'm doing exactly what I used to? I've heard this so many times. From women trying to reconnect with their bodies after years of distance. And one of the first things I always ask them is, when do you usually touch yourself? A woman named Grace, 72 years old, once called me one afternoon. Her voice was soft, almost like she'd just woken from a long, lonely dream. She said, "I usually do it at night when the house is quiet, but afterward, I just feel empty." I didn't judge her. In fact, many women choose nighttime, when everything's done, when no one's around. But what we often don't realize is, by the end of the day, your body is tired. Your energy is spent. Your mind is foggy. And your heart may be quietly closed. The female body, especially after 60, isn't a switch that just turns on or off. It's a field of energy, subtle, responsive, and like flowers in a garden, it only blossoms when the sun is soft, when the air is still, and the ground is not too dry. So I gently suggested something to Grace. Next time, try in the morning, when you've just woken up, when your body is still soft, your mind not yet rushed, and the light is kind. Don't do anything right away. Just lie there and be present. A week later, she called back. Her voice was different, lighter, more open. She said, "I never imagined such a small change could make such a big difference. It felt like my body was finally receiving, not resisting." And science supports this. After menopause, estrogen levels drop. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, becomes erratic, and cortisol, the stress hormone, tends to rise in the evening. That's why so many women struggle to feel at night. But in the morning, or between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., your body is more balanced. Circulation improves, and the lower belly, home to many of your emotional nerves, is more receptive, more open. In simple words, your body has a golden hour. And when you choose the right time, you don't have to try so hard. The doors are already gently opening. Now, I'm not saying everything has to happen in the morning. Each of us is a different river. But I invite you to begin noticing. When does your body feel lightest? When is your mind not rushing ahead? When do you feel truly here? Try mornings. Try midday when the sun is kind. Let your body lead, not the clock. not your calendar, but the quiet rhythm within. And if you've ever felt disconnected from yourself, maybe what you've been missing wasn't sensation, but the right moment to feel. You're not burned out. You're just trying to light a flame at a time when the wind is too strong. Secret number 6. Gentle sound can awaken deep, hidden feelings. I want you to pause for a moment and just listen, not to me, but to the sounds around you. The birds outside your window, the wind brushing softly through the trees, or maybe just the quiet rhythm of your own heart, beating gently inside your chest. You see, we often think we need touch in order to feel, but the truth is, some sensations don't come through the skin. They come through vibration. A woman I once worked with, Clara, 71, told me something during one of our conversations. She said, "I don't feel anything when I touch myself anymore." But one evening, I played an old classical song, the one my husband and I used to listen to in the quiet hours of the night. And suddenly tears just started flowing, and I felt alive again. I smiled and said to her, "That's the doorway you've been looking for. Not touch. Vibration. Sound, especially soft music, gentle tones, has the power to reach the emotional nervous system in a way that no hands ever could. Neurologists have studied this for years. Music around 432 Hz, or nature sounds like flowing water, rainfall, or soft instrumental meditation music, can activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the part of your body that says, it's safe now. You can soften. You can receive. For women over 60, when hormones shift and emotions may feel hidden or closed off, sound becomes a quiet companion, non-invasive, non-demanding, just there. Like a gentle friend who simply sits beside you and says, "You don't have to do anything, I'll stay. I invite you to try this one morning." Or late in the afternoon. Turn off the TV, put your phone away, press play on a song with no words, or a sound from nature you remember from childhood. Sit still, place your hand on your heart, breathe slowly, inhale, hold, exhale, then let the sound carry you. No need to search for feeling, no need to try. Just let the soft vibrations move through you like silk, washing gently through your cells. Some women feel warmth in their lower belly. Some feel their shoulders melt. Some feel their eyes soften. And some just feel, for the first time in a long time, fully alive. Because not every awakening comes from the hands. Some come from melodies. Some come from memory. Some come from things we can't see, but we can feel. You don't need to do anything to open. You only need to create the right conditions. And sound may be one of the gentlest conditions of all. You might ask, but what's the right sound? And I won't answer that for you, because each of us carries a secret song inside. Find the one that makes your heart quietly tremble. A song that reminds you of someone, a place, a moment of warmth from your past. And when you find it, that sound is no longer just music. It's a key. Back home to yourself. Secret number 7. Presence. The gentle magic that brings you back to life. Some of the most powerful awakenings in life don't happen when you do more. They happen when you pause, truly pause. Not to achieve something, not to cross off another task, but simply to be present with yourself. I know that may sound simple, So simple that it's easy to dismiss. Presence, people often ask. I'm here, aren't I? I eat, I breathe, I go about my day. Of course I'm present. But friend, being alive doesn't always mean being here. So often, we sit in one place, but our mind has wandered to the past, or it's racing toward tomorrow. Our body is here, but our heart? It's somewhere far, far away. I remember a woman named Ellen, age 69. She was strong, raised 4 kids on her own, a life spent giving, doing, surviving. And then retirement came, and with it, a strange, unfamiliar silence. She told me, "Doctor, I have the time now, but I don't know who I am anymore. I try to touch myself, but I feel nothing." I looked at her gently and asked just one question. When was the last time you truly breathed, with your full presence? She was quiet, for a long, long time. So I guided her in something very simple. Sit still. Place your hand on your heart, or your lower belly. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly. Feel the air entering. Then exhale gently, fully, as if letting go of the world. No goal, no expectation. Just stay, breath after breath. Weeks later, she came back to see me. Her eyes were different, softer, brighter. She said, "I still don't feel anything dramatic, but now I cry when I place my hand on my chest, not because I'm sad, but because for the first time in years, I feel like I've come home." You see, the feeling of being alive doesn't always come from stimulation. It comes from presence, from no longer running from yourself, from staying long enough, real enough, for your body to finally believe, "Ah, you've come back to me." Scientifically, slow and deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of you that calms, softens, and opens. It lowers your heart rate, it eases anxiety, and it gently unlocks the subtle doors of emotion. Not loud, explosive feelings, but soft ones, quiet as morning fog. You don't have to touch any particular part of your body. Just place your hand on your heart, or your lower belly, the places where you've stored so many memories, so many sacrifices. And with every breath, whisper to yourself, "I am still here. I am still alive. And I have never truly left myself." If you only do one small thing each day, let it be presence. Because from presence, everything else will bloom. Connection, feeling, and the most tender love for yourself. Secret number 8. Positive emotional memories can reopen the pathways to feeling. Have you ever been walking through an ordinary day, and suddenly a scent in the air stops you in your tracks? Maybe it's the smell of fresh baked bread, a familiar perfume, or a distant song playing somewhere behind the breeze. And just like that, you're not here anymore. You're back in another time. A time when your heart raced with joy. A time when your body responded to even the lightest touch. I had a patient, Anna, 69. She once told me she believed aging had taken all the tenderness out of her, that she had withered like a winter branch. But one day, while cleaning out an old closet, she found a silk scarf, the one her husband had given her for her 40th birthday. She told me, "I held that scarf against my chest, and the strangest thing happened. Tears started to fall. Not from sadness, but because I realized I'm still here. I haven't disappeared. You see, sensation doesn't only live in the body, it lives in memory. In neuroscience, we call this emotional neural pathways. Every time you've experienced a loving touch, a soft kiss, a warm whisper, your brain recorded it, like a bookmark. And even years later, all it takes is a gentle reminder, a sound, a scent, a soft fabric, to awaken that pathway again, to bring back a feeling you thought was lost forever. I'm not saying memories should replace the present, but sometimes they can become a bridge, not to take you backward, but to guide your body home again, to remind you, yes, you still know how to feel. Try this sometime, in a quiet afternoon. Find something that carries emotional memory for you, a piece of fabric, a handwritten letter, a song you once loved. Touch it, smell it, listen to it, as if you're meeting a version of yourself you haven't seen in years. And then, just notice. What stirs in you? Maybe it's a shiver, warmth in your chest, a long, deep breath. All of it means your body never forgot how to feel. It was simply waiting for a gentle invitation from your past. We don't live in nostalgia, but sometimes a kind memory is the most powerful way to reconnect with the body you have right now, not to return to your youth, but to go deeper into who you are. So if there's a memory that once made you feel alive, soft, or deeply you, hold on to it like a precious stone. And whenever you need to find your way back to sensation, open that memory and let the light of yesterday gently illuminate your present. Secret number 9. Aging is not the end. It's the beginning of a deeper emotional life. You know, we were raised in a world that taught us this, that growing older means losing things, losing beauty, losing desire, losing attraction, losing value. But after more than 30 years of working with women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, I've learned something very different. Aging doesn't take your feelings away. It deepens them. Margaret, one of my patients, 69 years old, once sighed in my office and said, "Doctor, I used to think the most radiant years of my life were behind me. But now, I no longer want intensity. I just want to feel peace and to touch myself with kindness." It was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard. And I believe many women after 60 want exactly that. No more rushing. No more pressure to reach a climax. No more needing someone else to tell you that you're desirable. You just want to be present, to touch yourself with tenderness, to sit beneath soft light and whisper, "My feelings are still alive. They're just more mature now." Science agrees. Many postmenopausal women, freed from the pressure to reproduce or meet expectations, begin to feel pleasure more fully, not just in one part of the body, but through the whole being. It's no longer the high-intensity pleasure of youth. It's something different, something like moonlight, soft, even, soaking into every nerve, every memory, every breath. The kind of pleasure that only a ripened soul can recognize. You may have thought, "My body has changed. I'm not who I used to be." And you're right. Your body has changed. But not to become less. To become deeper, more authentic, more real. The lines on your skin, they don't diminish you. They give you depth. The slower pace? It's an invitation to finally be present, And the subtle feelings you now carry? They're proof that you've lived long enough to know what truly matters. Please remember this. You are not past your prime. You are entering a new one. A season where love, sensation, and connection no longer come from fleeting passion, but from full, wholehearted acceptance of who you are. You don't have to go back to 30. You just need to come home to yourself. At 60, 70, or 80, with all the softness you've always deserved. And if you're still here, listening all the way to the end of this video, I believe there's a part of you that just quietly woke up. A deeper breath, a softened gaze, a place in your heart or your body that just opened its door after years of being closed. If there's anything you'd like to leave in the comments, you don't have to say much. Maybe just one line. I'm learning to love myself in a new rhythm. Because that one sentence from you might be the light that guides another woman who's been quietly trying to find her way back to herself. If something in this video stirred your heart even just a little, a deep breath, a gentle memory, a tender squeeze of your own hand, then I truly invite you to leave a comment below. I'm coming back to myself. Or, I didn't know I could still feel. Because that whisper from you could be the lantern in the dark for another woman walking her quiet path through shame, silence, or uncertainty. If you feel this video brought you something valuable, please gently tap the like button as your way of saying, I honor this healing journey. And if you want to walk alongside me through more stories about the body, about emotion, about tenderness beyond 60, subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell, not to follow me, but to follow yourself on this unfolding journey back into your own blooming life. And finally, I want you to remember, you are not alone. Your body has never abandoned you. It's simply been waiting for your voice, your gentle hand, your gaze, finally turned inward. I'll see you in the next video, where we don't just talk about health, but about being alive, fully, deeply, and beautifully, at any age.